Just going to give it another couple of minutes for people to come onto the line. I'm a bit of a stickler for being on time, but we're not yet right on 9 o'clock, so I'm just going to give it another second. Hi, Caroline, and hi, Warren. I have some men on the call. Welcome. The chat box is open, so feel free to say hello and to post any questions that you might have. You're more than welcome to pick my brain as much as you want to today. Hi, Kimber, and hi, Jessica. Welcome to the call. It's really dark. I can see how dark it is in the background. It's summer here in Australia, and in Melbourne it is pouring today, and my phone's doing all sorts of crazy stuff. I'm just going to ignore that. Yeah, the weather here is awful, and you can see my room is normally quite bright. I've got a big window here, but it's very dark and stormy today. All right, so we've got a handful of you here, so I'm going to get started. Basically, what today is about is really just about a bit of an ass kicking, really. Sometimes we start the year off, and January is always a big month for me. I'm always really excited about, you know, the stuff that I've got planned for the year. And, you know, with the women that I'm coaching and the women on my mastermind, I find what happens is, you know, they go out all guns blazing, and they've been just about exhaust themselves by the time we get to end of January, because December's been priming themselves up as well to have this, you know, hit the ground running in January and to start big. And so a number of things can happen in January. We can either, you know, just keep powering through, and, you know, we don't hit any hurdles, and we can be carried quite a way through the year. Or otherwise, you know, you can become a little bit exhausted, or you can launch something that didn't quite go to plan, or you just find yourself shorter on time that you thought you were going to be, and you tend to lose your spark a little bit, and you find yourself in a bit of a flat spot. And sometimes you can be questioning, you know, all the stuff that you plan to do for yourself in the year, and all the big projects that you had planned to take on and make successful kind of feel a little bit out of reach. So what I want to chat with you today is really just to inspire you to keep going, and to remind you of the vision that you set for yourself in the beginning. And sometimes we can have a bit of a flat spot, and if we start to give it meaning, you know, we can find ourselves in a bit of a hole very quickly. I wrote a blog post yesterday about just that. You know, when we start off really well and things are going great, and we're, you know, our articles are being well received, and our social media posts are going crazy, and, you know, we're picking up clients, or the clients we're working with are going really, really well. And then, you know, in a heartbeat it can turn, and you might lose a client or two, and your article was rejected, and you can start to really lose your momentum and start to go inward. And it sometimes takes a long time to get on top of that if you don't catch it early on. So the reason that I wanted to do this today and now is because I want you to know about the importance of catching that stuff before it starts to slide. So this time of the year is a really good place to start. And I guess, you know, my experience in the fitness industry, I was in it for a long, long time, and it's that old joke about, you know, the 1st of January, the gym's full of people, and by the 15th of January, it's pretty much empty again. And, you know, it's the same with us in our other endeavours outside of fitness as well. We can start all guns blazing, and then we hit a hurdle. So what I want to remind you of is that no doubt at some point this year you had the vision to play a really big game this year, and to really go for it and make sure that all of those things that you've been trying to achieve for the last few years, you're going to tick the boxes on those things. You know, that was your intention for the year. And regardless of what's happened between now and the 1st of January, that stuff's still got to stay front and center. You know, you still have to believe in that stuff. So I encourage all of my clients to do a really awesome visioning tool that I put together. You can get it free on my website. And hopefully you've mapped out a really clear vision for yourself for 2016. And if we're not checking in with that vision on a constant basis, what tends to happen is we become a little bit disconnected to it. And then it's hard to get that momentum back. So really important to be making sure you're really plugged into that vision day in, day out. So as I say, go to my website, it's free. You can sign up for that free visioning tool if you haven't done that sort of thing already. But your vision is what's going to inspire you to take action, even when you don't really feel like it, if you're really connected to that vision. If you're disconnected to it, it's kind of like, yeah, you know, I should be writing that article, but it can wait till next week. But when your vision's really strong, you know exactly what it is that you're trying to achieve and why, then that's when you'll start to, you know, be able to move forward again and continue to move forward. The next thing I want to ask you is, you know, what's on your list for this year? What are the big things that you've had on your list? So for me, you know, I launched my Kick-Ass Academy in September, so I've got another launch coming up at the end of the year. I've got a Sydney event coming up at the end of April. I'm toying around with, and it's likely that I'll launch my membership site later in the year as well, and some short courses along the way. But my main focus for this year is gearing up towards my Kick-Ass Academy launch again in September, and another live mastermind in the middle of the year. They're kind of the two biggies for me. They're the big things on my list. And writing my 4th book. Obviously, I'm in the thick of doing that at the moment. So what are the big things that you've got on your list? You know, and are you taking daily action to make sure that you get those things to happen? Because sometimes what we can do in the excitement of the new year and setting our New Year's goals and our business goals is, you know, we think really big, we're in a really good place to be able to do that. And then, you know, when we step away from it, it kind of feels a little bit insurmountable and like a big mountain. But what were those things that you had on the list? Because if you thought you could do it once, you know, you can do it. You can still do it now. It's just the only difference between then and now is usually the mess that you've made in your head. So look at those big ticket items and be sure that every single day you're encouraging yourself to do something that's taking you forward. You need to take action every single day on those big ticket things, the big things on your list. So, you know, if you're going to write a book this year, then make it happen. You know, take the steps to make it happen. And if you plan to launch a high-end program later in the year, then, you know, now's the time to start thinking about it and, you know, taking daily action towards making that happen. We can't set the goal and then, you know, 2 weeks out, start to hustle and make it happen. Just creates stress, and it also creates confusion for yourself as well, because you're kind of disconnected and you forgot what you were offering, and it gets a little bit messy. So, you know, yeah, so just daily action, daily action. Without daily action, you become disconnected from those big ticket things, the big things that you're trying to achieve for the year. So just make sure that you're checking in on those on a day-to-day basis. Next thing is, this is a big one, and this is what shows up time and time again, and that is just that the only thing standing in the way of us achieving those big things that we set ourselves out to and achieving them is us. You know, too often we stand firmly in our own way. We bring our, you know, last year's or the years before baggage into the year, and we might have the idea and the vision for the thing that we're trying to achieve, and then we start to convince ourselves that it's never going to work. So the only thing standing in the way really is you. And I know, thanks Jess, Jess just said the visioning exercise is incredible. It's pretty good, you know, it's definitely a winner. Yeah, so shouldn't be distracted by that. As I said, the only thing that's standing in the way between that is you. And I know I did that myself. You know, I look back at the years that I had previous to last year, which was a huge year for me. It was a massive year. And the year before that was pretty good. And the year before that was kind of the start of things. But even then I look at, and even in 2013, I look at the things that I did that, you know, I got in my own way. I launched my Honourable Martial Arts Entrepreneur Program. I launched it with a live event that sold into a high ticket item, and I ran an online, you know, webinar-based version of that program as well. I wrote my book and it went viral, and I created an awesome video series. I created a digital product and all that sort of stuff. I took a lot of action and I got a lot of stuff done, but then I stood firmly in my own way. And when it came to running the next event. I think I set 3 more dates and didn't run anymore. I kept convincing myself that it was so hard to fill it, and I just don't know that I can, do that again with, only a handful of people in the room, and it cost so much, and it was so stressful, and blah, blah, blah. And I told myself all these stories when, looking back now, because I had the same thoughts with the art of kicking ass elegantly with my live events. I kept thinking, I don't think I want to do this again. What if I don't fill the events? What if people don't buy into the mastermind? I did all that stuff. But the only difference was I let the fear take hold last time, and I gave into it, and I never got to see what would have happened if I had run those other events. So last year I really pushed myself to do exactly that, to just continue to do the work, continue to set the dates, continue to follow through, and just see what happened. I decided that that was going to be my year of just taking things all the way through and giving it everything and not letting fear rule. And that was the difference. The only difference was I got out of my own way, and instead of letting fear dictate my future, I just, elbowed it out of the way, and I just kept moving forward. And honestly, that is the only difference for most of you. It's just that. It's either giving into the fear and insecurity that's kind of rearing its ugly head, or not. And if you can be brave and courageous and push through that stuff and just do it anyway and see what happens, you'll be amazed at what's on the other side. I mean, I definitely was. I had a better result the second time around. The number, I was one less person on the mastermind, but a much better group of women. It's been, a dream run, really. And even when I launched the Kick-Ass Academy, I didn't get the numbers that I wanted, but it's still worth doing. And it was in line with my intention to just give it everything and see what happened. And I could have waited and launched later and probably got a better result, but I thought, I'm going to do it this year because I want all this, I want to have the information so that 2016 can be better. So it's like, what did I do in that launch that worked, what didn't work, how much sooner should I have started, all that sort of stuff, how much bigger should my list have been, all that. So now I have all that information, and it's still, it was still profitable to do it. It's not what I hoped, but, I'm not going to complain because it's still a profitable exercise, and it's going to teach me a lot over the next 12 months working with these women, and I'm going to be better positioned to do it again when I launch in September. It was the best thing that I could have done, getting out of my own way, reminding myself that, remember what happened last time when every time you thought it wasn't going to work, you pulled the pin and you ended up going nowhere. So it was just this, it became really non-negotiable, and I guess that's what you need to do as well. Just make it really, really non-negotiable. I'm just going to read some of the messages. Caroline, I started falling into fear when I started making changes. Yeah, change is huge, but the thing that allowed me to push through, I think, was just the fact that I was really convicted. I was very convicted. I'd done the work. I nailed my marketing. I nailed my market. I nailed my offering. I was so convicted about this program. I knew it would work. I knew if I could just get enough people in a room that I'd be able to convert them into this, into my mastermind program. But I was also really excited about running the one-day events because it was kind of everything that I've created. Everything I created last year was a combination of disappointments in other programs that I'd done. So I kind of knew, and I knew there were a lot of people like me, who'd done programs. I've been sitting side by side with these people who'd had the same knowledge as me, and they're further behind than I was, and it's because there were parts of the puzzle that were missing. So I was so strongly convicted about it. So I made massive changes, Caroline. I went from working in that martial arts space to opening it up and working with female entrepreneurs. And well, I'd been doing a little bit of that, and every other business that I'd ever had was about working with females one-on-one. It was a whole different space for me. So it was a very big change, and I wasn't sure I was going to be well received or any of that stuff. And all I had to do was try. And thankfully I did try, because it's been a really successful and really rewarding and fulfilling year. Last year was amazing. So yeah, change does raise up all sorts of fear, but without change, we don't grow. You know, without that change and without shaking things up and without scaring the crap out of ourselves from time to time, we don't grow. So, you know, change is just part of life, and it's just, I think the older we get and the more we do it, the better we get at being able to adjust, you know, and adapt and absorb the change and be able to thrive on the other side of it. So I guess, Carolyn, just try and reframe it from fear and perhaps think of it instead of as excitement, you know, because change means something different is about to occur. And if you're changing something in the first place, it's because you want something better, and that's usually just around the corner. So maybe try and reframe it, and instead of feeling fearful, start to feel really excited about it. The other thing that women talk to me about often is overwhelm, and this is such a big subject. You know, it's where usually people try to take on too much, and they try to chase too many rabbits down too many rabbit holes. The thing that really worked for me when I set up the Honourable Martial Arts Entrepreneur Program was I decided I am just going to focus on this for this year. I did have other businesses running, but I just stopped doing the social media, I stopped doing the marketing, and all I did was focus solely on that one product. And so what I decided was, like I pretty much did with this program, is that, you know, this is, I always work off 4 levels. So I create my, what I call my Eiffel Tower, which is my big product, which is my complete and remarkable solution to a problem. And my 12-month mastermind is the one that I have at the moment. But when I had the Honourable Martial Arts Entrepreneur Program, it was a 5-month high-end program that was, I think it was around $7,500 or something like that. And so that was my level 4. And everything that I created after that, every blog post, every freebie, everything like that was pointing to that level 4, because it's designed to push everybody up to that level 4. Not everybody, but a percentage. And so I decided that if level 4 is this high-end 5-month program, then for me, the natural step under that is for them to have a day of me delivering content, giving them a snippet of each one of those things and allowing them to experience what this program is about. And then before that, I had my level 2, which is free content, but people have to hand over their email details to get that. I created a 5-part video series with workbooks, and I also wrote my 3rd book. And because it wasn't a huge market, I elected to keep that as a digital book, and that went pretty viral, and they were my opt-ins. And then level 1 is just your free content. So every single thing that I developed was about pushing people up to that level 4. So once I'd created that framework, I decided that I wanted to take it online as well. So I had, you know, the level 1 and 2 were the same, they stayed the same, and then I pointed them in different directions. So, you know, I had webinars, I had a digital product, and then there was a digital product, and the level 4 for that was with a coaching program, essentially. So I had kind of 2 streams, one virtual version and one live version, and it worked really, really well for me. And what I found was, instead of trying to juggle a million different things and have different ideas and think, oh, well, I can do that and I can add that, or someone else is doing that, so I think I should be doing that. I'd been doing that, and I was running around in circles, and I was actually getting nowhere fast. So I decided, you know, this streamlined approach was much simpler for me. So because I wasn't blogging for my Rip It Up challenge or my Taekwondo school, it was all about this, and it made it so much simpler. Every day, you know, when I sat down, I knew it was contained within that framework, and it seemed so much simpler and easier, and it removed the overwhelm. I didn't have any overwhelm anymore just because my focus was so simplified, and that honestly removed the overwhelm. Now, I know some people have their time poor, you know, they have young children or they have a full-time job before they can take the leap into running their business full-time and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, for me, I never had the full-time work while I was trying to build my business, because I kind of always took the leap way too early and was broke for a long time and sort of made things work and then had some success. But I was always working in it. But I did, you know, I separated from my ex-husband. I had a little boy. He was about 15, 16 months old, something like that, 18 months maybe. And within a couple of weeks of separating, I found out I was pregnant with my daughter. And so I lived 2.5 hours away from my family. I didn't really have any close friends. I had my students, but they weren't the people that I was going to rely on. And so I only had a small amount of time, because when you've got a newborn, I was still running my martial arts school, and I've got a toddler running around and not much support. I had only a small window of opportunity to be able to get good work done. And so what I would do would be, I would set my alarm for quarter to 5 in the morning, because the kids would sleep till about 6. And I'd just get up and I'd get my head down, bum up, and do what I needed to do. And at that time, we're talking, 18 years ago now, I was studying to become a personal trainer because I wanted to add that to my Taekwondo school. And I was doing it by correspondence. And the only way that I could get the work done was that for that 1 hour in the morning. And then another time I remember I bought Tony Robbins' 30-day, can't remember what that program was, but I wanted to do that, and it was important for me to do that. So again, I'd set the clock at 4:45 in the morning, and I'd have that hour and a quarter to myself to get that stuff done. And if I didn't get anything else done during the day, which was unlikely because I was chasing kids around all day, and then at night I was teaching my classes, I knew that I had that pocket of time. And the reason that that worked for me so well is because I had a big master list. I had a list of, this is the stuff that needs to be achieved, and this is the stuff that I need to get through this week. So when I'd stumble up in the morning because I'd been up night feeding and stuff, and I'd, grab my cup of coffee, sit down, look at the list and go, right, I'm here. And so it was a really highly focused hour, and that worked really well for me. So if you're short on time, just whenever that works for you. I like mornings, but it could be, at work, you take your lunch break somewhere else and you just give everything to that, to your master list over that hour, work your way through that and use that time to help you through. That's pretty much all I've got for you, really, as far as the ass kicking. It's really just, make sure that you don't get in your own way. Make sure that you remind yourself that you're playing big and what it is that you're trying to achieve, and make sure that every single day you're taking action towards it. Focus on a single thing so that you don't become confused and a little bit all over the place. And thanks, Jess. And those big ticket items on your list, remember, you can do them. Just pull out your vision. If you haven't done your vision yet, go to my website. It's free. And you can download that, and that's a really good way to get really, really clear. Sometimes it does throw up some stuff because it's stuff that you didn't really know that you wanted in your life, and all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, now I'm contending with this as well. But it's good. It's good to have this vision of what your whole life looks like, not just your business, but your life as well. I've got something that I created today, so I'm just going to pop it up. I'm writing my book at the moment, my 4th book, and I've had a lot of people asking me about, would I coach them through writing a book. So I've developed a program, and you can jump on and sign up today. There are 10 spots available, and I'm going to run a 5-week write your book program. So my process for writing is I create my central question, and every book is essentially, or any good book, is the answer to a question. So we want to know what is the question that you're answering. So for me, I'm writing a book for coaches on, why their brands need to sing and how they can make their brands sing. And I basically talk about the fact that, Joan Smith life coach or Michelle Hext business coach or blogger or mentor or author or whatever would never have got the same cut through as the art of kicking ass elegantly. So I talk about brands that kind of smack people in the face. So my central question around my book is, if I'm a coach, I'm sitting here thinking, I'm seeing all these coaches have all this success and I'm not having any. Why can't I succeed like they are? That's kind of my central question, and I'm building the book around that. So with the program, we work on the central question. I help you map out your chapters, and then we basically, you sit your ass down every day for 30 days and you write 1,000 words a day. Once we put the framework there, that it might seem daunting, but it's actually not hard. 1,000 words a day is, you can knock that out if you're in flow in 30 minutes. Most times it takes me about an hour. But if you have on your big list for this year to write a book, this is a great way to do it. I've tried to keep the price down pretty low. I'm going to limit it to 10 people. We'll have a weekly live call. We'll have a Facebook group where I'll be in there every day answering questions and support and stuff like that. There'll also be some pre-learning and all that sort of stuff. And then I also talk you through my process of, you know, where I go to have it edited, proofread more than anything else, where I go to have it formatted, how we upload it into Amazon, where to get your book cover done, all that sort of stuff. So in 5 weeks, you'll have written your book, you'll submitted your manuscript to have it edited and typeset and all the rest of it. Sometimes the covers can take a little bit longer. If you're anything like me, that's where I drag my heels, because I'm, you know, I hate every cover that I'm shown for weeks and weeks and weeks, sometimes months on end. But yeah, the end result is that you'll have this book written, you'll have this manuscript, and it'll be ready to upload into Amazon, and I can show you how to do that. So if that's on your list and it's something that you want to do, we're starting in February, early February. So jump on that, and I'd love you to be a part of that. I'm just going to go back to the chat. So if you have any questions, I wanted to keep this short and sweet today because we haven't got all day to sit around and just chew the fat. But if you have any questions and you want to pick my brain, or if you've got any comments, please just post them in the chat box. Otherwise, we're going to wind it up. We're done in 25 minutes. Just give you one more minute. Okay, I think we're good. Thank you so much. I hope that it's given you a bit of a kick in the ass that you needed to keep moving again, to be reminded of the fact that, you know, you can do anything that you set your mind to this year if you get out of your own way and you have some structure around it and you focus on one thing and not be distracted by a million bright, shiny things. Have an awesome week. I wish you all the best with the week, and I'm going to run another webinar probably in a couple of weeks, and I think not quite sure what that topic's going to be on, but keep your eyes out for it. Just every month I'm going to be delivering 1 or 2 webinars. I'm going to keep them nice and short and sweet, and just a little injection of rallying the troops. And if it's something that has helped you and inspired you, then please let other people know about it, and I'd love to see you on the next call. Just going to do one final check. That is it. You are very welcome. Thank you very much. Have an awesome day. Bye for now.